Welcome to the Global Connection, a Tel Aviv University podcast. Journey with us as we discover how TAU's academic community and friends are engaging with and helping to shape this ever-changing world.
Today I'm welcoming in the studio Sharon Frankel, who is the CEO of Tel Aviv University Canada, an organization that represents TAU to all of our fellow Canadians out there. I also happen to know Sharon personally, given we both come from Montreal, and I'm excited to have a conversation with him about the Canadian-Israel relationships, his experience of being Jewish in Montreal right now, and his thoughts on campus, Jewish life, and life for students these days. So welcome, Sharon.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
So I thought I'd start off by asking, what brings you to Tel Aviv today? What brings you to Israel?
So, two reasons. We just had our annual strategic planning meeting with all the associations, the Friends Association of Tel Aviv University around the world. So I'm actually one of two CEOs in Canada. I'm responsible for Ottawa, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. And so we look at the past year, we look ahead, how things have changed. We do that every year, but this year was definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing all forces together to support our students, our faculty, our staff, the university as a whole.
And I understand you're here with a group of people as well outside of some of the TAU work.
Correct.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's currently a mission going on, a group of Montreal supporters that, it was important to them to be here during this time. It's a solidarity mission, a volunteer mission. I partnered up with, or JNF partnered up with us, and giving us an opportunity to show them and basically showcase what Tel Aviv University has done since October the 7th. And we're going to come on campus, and the university has provided speakers for that mission, and I very much look forward to that opportunity as well.
I'm going to get back to some of the things that TAU is doing and your organization is doing to support, but I know you've been to Israel plenty of times. This is your second home, or your home if you would call it that. What's your experience been so far while you've been here since October 7th? What are you feeling? What's the experience been like?
So, to be honest, I wanted to be here since October the 8th, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here today, or during these past days. It's definitely different. I did not know what to expect. As you said, I am daily connected to Israel from Canada, whether it's professionally or on a personal level, and I've been involved and heard and seen different things. It is not easy to be here, but I think it was, or it is, very important to be here. It is important for me to be here personally, and to experience and to bear witness of what has happened since October the 7th. But I also feel, which is actually very stunning, is that it is important for the Israelis that we are here.
Mm-hmm.
And I see and I feel how much Israelis appreciate our visits during this time, like the mission, for example, and people coming.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, not just for Jews, but primarily Jews, October 7th has been a big game changer. What was your experience on October 7th? Where were you? How did you start, getting information about what was happening? Could you just tell me about your October 7th?
So, I woke up during the night. I usually do not have my phone necessarily on the bedside or on over Shabbat, but the phone did not stop, and it was like in subconsciously, it was vibrating the whole time. And when we finally woke up and got ready for synagogue, I saw that my phone was just lighting up, and I looked at the phone, and I read what I read, and that Israel was at war, and it was definitely not an easy day. Went to synagogue, everybody was talking about it, and then we learned, and then especially Motzei Shabbat was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially being so far away. You feel, in some senses, probably helpless. relying on the news. And you have family in Israel?
My wife has direct family here. I have extended family, very close friends from my time that I lived in Israel before moving to Canada, and we've had very sad stories. We had miracle stories. Son of very close friends of mine survived the festival by pure determination. He was one of the first in his car and out. So I've been really involved from far on a regular basis and felt very close. Again, not just on a private side and personal side, but also through work and the work we do for the university.
And we're both pretty connected to our Montreal Jewish community. What's your feeling? What's changed in the community at home? And I say at home for those listening, I'm from Montreal. What's changed? What's been the sentiment since October 7th?
So I don't think that I would have thought that I could say that, because I really believe that we live in a very special community. I've had the privilege to experience different Jewish communities around the world, having grown up and lived in different countries. Montreal is very special. You know that. We're very tight-knit. And we step up when we have to. But what I've experienced since October the 7th has been impeccable, incredible. The community, federation, individuals within the community. I was privileged enough to put an event together to help the university's emergency fund within just a couple of days. That was very successful. People really stepped up, and I think that was, and it still is, very, very impressive. Now, not just because of what's going on in Israel, but as you know, we had a couple of incidences in Montreal and in Canada. So I think all of that brought us very, very much closer, even closer than we were already.
Talking about incidences, we even saw it here in Israel in the news about the shooting at Yeshiva Gedola. For those listening, it's a high school, it's a school, a Jewish school in Montreal. How are people coping with these kind of incidences, these kind of hate crimes?
So, actually, Yeshiva Gedola was shot at twice. Then we had another shooting at another school. Thank God all incidences were during the night and while the schools were empty. We had 2 fire bombings in a synagogue and the Federation West Island chapter building. And how are we coping? It brought everything even closer to home. I moved to Canada 25 years ago. I was just telling the story today to one of our professors who also thought that, Canada is like the safe haven, and if, God forbid, ever something happens in the world, Canada would be a country to go to. 25 years ago, having grown up in Germany and then having been here in Israel in between, seeing people on the high holidays in Côte Saint-Luc walking around with talitot on the street, you thought like you're in Jerusalem. Unfortunately, today we have people taking off their mezuzot and walking around, without kippas anymore. It's tough. It definitely changed our city as well.
And how do you think that Canada can be a better ally to Israel?
I think that the government has to put their money where their mouth is, and either you're with us or you're not, but you can't play on both sides of the field. And many people are not happy right now.
Are you seeing, given your relationship with the university here, are you seeing students wanting to come to Israel more now because of the lack of safety they're feeling on their own campuses at home?
Yes and no. So obviously the school year was postponed until December 31st, and as you know, and you're one of the international students, some students were here and then left or stayed. Now that we reopened, I do have a little bit more of increased conversations. People are asking me. but people are still, unsure. Obviously, the war is still going on. It's not like the war is over and now there's going to be an increase, of interest of people wanting to come and study in Israel or make Aliyah. But yes, so I think, like I said before, these missions that are going on, they're very important, and I feel that interest of people that want to be here and that want to come here. And yes, I think that the situations in campuses around the world, as difficult and sad they are, they might have a positive effect on our international students and bringing them to Israel.
There's a weird paradox. So as you know, I've been here since September prior to the war, and there's something about leaving that feels way more uncertain and uncomfortable than actually going back to, as you said, a place that was always considered a safe haven like Canada. And I haven't left. I've been here. The sentiment that you're getting from people who are coming, on these missions, and people that you've talking to, and family, friends, whatever it may be. What are they feeling when they come here? Is it a sigh of relief? Is it, wow, it feels different than what we've been seeing online? Because there's obviously a lot of misinformation going on, and if you're not here, you only see one thing. What are some of the conversations you're having once people are arriving to Israel on these solidarity missions?
So first of all, I would say,
yourself, by the way.
Yeah. So first of all, I would say people that are educated and that they really know what's really going on. I hope they don't see just one side of the story, and they do understand the overall and the global picture, and why this happened, who did it, and what is the current situation. People that are coming to Israel, I think they might feel similarly than what I do, is that we felt very helpless being so far away. And I know that you met a couple of individuals from Montreal, and you interviewed them, and people they just want to be here. We want to be together. It speaks for us as the Jewish people, being together and showing chesed and achdut, and being together and going through this together. You're not alone is not just a sentence. It's something that is really being put in action when we're here. And what is so really mind-boggling to me is that you were mentioning, what's going on in Canada and an anti-Semitic attack. This country here is at war, and we're getting phone calls and emails in Canada, are you okay? Because they heard of the firebombing at the synagogue or the shooting at one of the schools. And they're telling us, thank you for coming here. I don't want to say they don't understand what they're doing for us, not just for this country, but for us as Jews in the diaspora. This is our country, and by our, I mean our Jewish state, and every single young boy, girl, woman, man, and older that are currently enrolled are doing duty not just to this country but to global Jewry.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I felt that there was a good period of time where I was consoling people while I was sitting here in Tel Aviv. I was consoling people back at home. There's one particular conversation I had with quite a prominent lawyer in Montreal, and we were on FaceTime, and he started tearing up, and I said to him, I said, Mr. XYZ, why are you crying? And he goes, my family, they're trying to kill us, and I can't deal with it. And I said, do you understand? I just left the beach. I'm walking on the street. Like, I had a shawarma. Yes, there's sirens going on, and yes, there's chaos, but the people here somehow find a way to live. You have to find a way to live too, and stand up in Montreal and be that voice. So there's a weird paradox, as I was saying, between what's happening here, the reality on the ground, and then the information that's getting back to Canada, and how both Jews in Israel and outside of Israel are dealing with the war and dealing with what's going on.
100%. I met on my my first morning after I landed. I didn't know. A friend of mine took me for Shacharit prayers to a Shiva house of a fallen soldier. A friend of his lost his son, and then he introduced me to the father. And again, he thanked me, and he kind of blessed me and said, you should, in your next week or 10 days here on the ground, you should see this war end. And what is the craziest story about it is actually, which neither he knew who I was an hour earlier, and nor did I know who he was, is his son was accepted to Tel Aviv University and was supposed to start in a few weeks. And he was supposed to be released from the IDF. And that made it, again, in a split second, it brought it so much closer.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable stories,
The Shivas here are something else. We think the Shivas at home are something. I went to, I'm sure you heard of Daniel Weiss. Both of his parents, his father was killed, and his mother's body was found about 10 days, or actually the day after he finished sitting Shiva for his father. And Cantor Boaz Davidov from Montreal, his daughter brought me to the Shiva. He's friends with the son, Daniel, and it was the exact same thing. I didn't have many words to say other than, I wish you a long life, and I'm very sorry. And you're talking about hundreds of people at this one house. I've never seen anything like it. And he looked at me and he goes, "Thank you so much for coming. I wish you a good life, a peaceful life." And I'm thinking, well, what you're wishing me? It's unbelievable.
No, it's unbelievable. So during Shacharit that morning, I think there were maybe 100 men. Kabbalat Shabbat, we went back. When we arrived, we were about 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
But when we left, the prayers were in front of the house. I would say, and I'm not exaggerating, I would say somewhere around 500, 750, maybe even 1,000 people on the street.
Wow.
In Ra'anana. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable experience.
It's so interesting, and you could, you could talk to this maybe. A year ago, this country was so divided. Even when I got here in September, or when I was here in February last year, there was such division because of what was happening with the government and politics and the judicial reform. You could never imagine that such polar opposites come together in this time, and it's because that's the way the Jewish people operate. And I can only imagine back at home, it's no different. And in every Jewish community, that sense of belonging, do you think it's bringing people closer to Zionism or Judaism, or both?
I think both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think both. Yeah.
What's I want to go back to some of the things that your organization is doing to support here in Israel. Can you share with us a little bit what
Sure.
Tel Aviv University Canada is doing?
So Tel Aviv University has a number of friends associations around the world. I always say our mandate starts and finishes with fundraising and raising financial resources for the university. There's a lot, of course, in between, relationship with alumni and promoting the university, bringing speakers to our countries and so on. The university has been, I always say, many people know what's coming out of Israel, but people don't always know what comes out of Tel Aviv University. And I still say that after 8 years with the organization. But what people really don't know is what has happened on and since October the 7th. And if the world would know, and maybe after today's podcast, within 3 hours, this university established a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline for psychological assistance.
Mm-hmm.
October the 7th at 9:30 a.m., 10 o'clock, this line was up. Our medical school, our medical faculty, and the dental school have been involved and working with the government in, identifying victims and remains. The university opened up the campus right away. The dormitories which were empty because the school year was canceled or postponed.
Mm-hmm.
and hosted families from the south, to the point we even relocated an entire school. We had an entire school here, and many more things. We just 2 weeks ago opened in a temporary location the new post-trauma center, the clinics. So we started treating patients in a temporary location. The building is only ready in about 18 months or so, but the goal is to treat 1,000 patients this year. You know, on the volunteering side, for example, tomorrow when the mission is coming on campus, we're actually going to prepare care packages for our student soldiers that are still serving right now. I found out this morning that, you know, different resources were used for different purposes, and one was, for example, an email was sent out apparently to faculty and staff, asking if they would be willing to open their homes to families from the south.
Wow.
And I heard that within 30 minutes, 150 people said right away, yes, whatever you need, for as long as you need. I have a room available, or I actually own an empty apartment somewhere, and just I mean, this again speaks for what we just said before. This is how the Jewish people come together. And so our financial efforts to raise money for the university was to immediately support the university's emergency fund that the university put in place. The priority was and still is our students. The university has given out a lot of money in order to ensure that the students do not have to worry for the time that when they come back. Free tuition, free dormitories. They lost half a semester now. There will be private tutoring being offered, helping with some living expenses. So we're preparing now. Students are slowly coming back. But as far as I understand, it should really happen February. We have over 6,000 students, Tel Aviv University students, that are currently serving. And yeah, so our efforts are basically to support the university financially, and right now the focus is on the students, on helping and supporting them with the effects, PTSD, depression, whatever can come out of this, and of course the other work that we do.
It's interesting you brought up post-trauma, and as you know, I'm well involved with the Israel war story, and you know, a lot of conversations are being had right now with what's going to happen with the Israel war story when the war's done. And last week in a meeting I said, the war story just begins when the war is done, because we have post-trauma to deal with. We have rebuilding of communities. We have so much to offer, and that is its own story in itself. What are some of the programs that are going to stay active post this war in order to ensure, you know, student success? Are these programs that you were just discussing, are they temporary? Do you see this being a long-lasting effect? Because I see the post-trauma, you know, pretty deep. It's going to go on for years, maybe even we're talking generational trauma.
Yeah, I think that ongoing support is going to be very important. Reintegration, and I think that this assistance is very important. And definitely, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a new normal. I mean, I don't think we're going to go back to normal. I mean, what is normal anyway? So we need to adapt, and I think that if there's one people and one nation that knows how to adapt, it's us.
100%.
And, I think that's actually the light at the end of the tunnel that we can see, where we say, you know, we're going to come out of this, and I have no doubt, we will prevail. We will be good. We will be fine. It's going to take time, and we just need to stay focused and do it together, and we're going to be fine.
What are some of your recommendations to students that are coming out of high school, ending college, considering Israel, not sure, there's so much going on? What's a piece of advice you can give to students who may be listening to the podcast?
Take every opportunity given to you and come to Israel, visit Israel, be here. I see it, I feel it again from my work side as well as my personal side. Once you're here, it says it all. You can't even describe outside of Israel what Israel is, what Israel means, and not only to Jewish people. We've had a couple of non-Jewish students, international students, and they came back to Canada, and they either joined our organization and they're sitting on our board and they become ambassadors, and they're outspoken on social media, and they support us. And even on these missions, we have not just Jewish people, we have non-Jewish people, and I hear it. I hear it at home, how much people actually appreciate Israel and recognize Israel for what she is as a country and what we are as a university specifically.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you talk about non-Jewish people. When I arrived in September, I was taken back because on the first day of school, everybody goes into the conference room, you sit down, you start introducing yourself. Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm from Germany, not Jewish. Hi, I'm so-and-so from Ethiopia, not Jewish. And by the time we got around the table, I think we're about 18 people in the program, we're only 4 or 5 Jews, which means you have 13 or so people who have elected to come to Israel. Predominantly, what do you think about Israel? Jews. And it's a very beautiful thing. And the most beautiful thing, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, and to me this is the epitome of the Israel war story, is a lot of these people left to their countries, like my roommate, not Jewish, she's from Germany, left back to Germany after October 7th, and she returned to Israel. And when I asked her, why'd you come back? You have no family or no connection to Israel, you're not Jewish. It felt better than hearing what I was hearing on the news. It felt right to come back. What did your family think about it? Oh, it was chaos. I would have come back earlier if I could. So it's very interesting to think that there is really a core of supporters of non-Jewish students, who are staunch on being, part of the truth and part of, something that is greater than them.
So I'm actually going to take this to another level. You may know, or you may have heard, but we just launched at the university last year the Erwin Kotler Institute. It's an institute that deals with democracy, human rights, and justice issues. It's an international graduate elective course. Last year we had 21 students in the course. This year I think we have about 15, and they're all not Jewish.
Wow.
They all study something else at the university, and they applied for this elective course, and they meet once a week on Sundays for 8 hours. And they travel the country. They learn about the history. They learn about the politics. They learn about everything, the culture, and they look at democracy, human rights, and justice issues related, of course, with a focus to Israel and the Middle East, but also in general. And who would have known that this institute and this program is as timely as it is today, and probably has never been more important than it is today. And so we're taking this now to the next level, and the program will be expanded. And I look very much forward to working with the university, with Professor Kotler, and his wife Ariella, personally on this, both very much involved, and it's going to be a very, very important program.
Why do you think it's only non-Jews? What's the significance of that? Why? Why?
So first of all, I'm not sure it's necessarily done intentionally. I think last year there was one Jewish student in the program. It's like, preaching to the choir. No, we want, because what I didn't mention is that, for example, one of the requirements or outcome of this course, which could be a year or 2 years, is that we want these students to go back to their countries as ambassadors and basically teach what they were taught at the Erwin Kotler Institute, excuse me. And so it is very important to have these international ambassadors going back. And I think that this is one of the, the strong points that it attracts. It actually attracts more of the non-Jewish international students maybe than the Jewish ones. But again, we're in our second year, okay, and we're in the situation that we're in right now. So let's see where this goes.
Interesting to see how it unfolds.
100%.
Yeah, good luck with that. Look, well, we're gonna wrap up soon, but I want to ask you, what is your one message to all people, Jewish, non-Jewish alike, outside of Israel, in the diaspora?
Don't believe everything that you hear out there. I mean, pick your sources. Pick your sources. Now, I don't know if it was meant for this current situation, but if it is, then yeah, pick your sources. Be very careful what you watch, what you listen to. And if we're talking in general, the message is that that Israel is a very, very special place. It's the only democratic country here in this region. We welcome and we host and we cater to all religions in the world, no matter who you are and where you come from. And I really think that to a certain point, of course, the perception out there is definitely the wrong one. But you got to come here. You have to come here. You have to come here. You have to see it. You have to feel it.
I like the short and sweet. I might have to steal that from you. Pick your sources. It hits the hammer right on the head. Look, Sharon, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to spending Shabbat with you tomorrow. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Tel Aviv. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for asking me to do this. This was a great last-minute, spontaneous idea.
Super last minute.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.